Okay, so this is, what is this? This is lighting iteration 1. I think that's what I called it. So what this is part of the series of learning the fundamentals of art. And so this next topic after doing form, because the last time we did form, just starting to learn form. So we're going to be doing, why can't I think of the word? Lighting, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to do cast shadows specifically because it ties in, it's more basic in that it's a lot easier to learn that versus jumping into something really complex and having no idea what you're doing, because I've done that way too many times. So to start off with, we're just going to be focusing on cast shadows for this iteration. And I have some really great resources here for you. The main one being this article here, which is guidetodrawing.com. If you go to his main website or whatever, you can go here and go scroll down to cast shadows, and I think length and direction. Yeah, length and direction, that's how you get here. And this has a really great overview of what we're going to be doing, and it's really good. Like, it has basically everything we're going to talk about. And I didn't learn this from this. I learned this from Digital Art School for Digital Artists, but that is a paid course, and I can't show you that stuff because it's paid, and that's pirating. I'm not going to do that. Illegal. But this is an alternate, really good resource that basically teaches the same exact thing, and I'll just show you how to do an example of that. Also, there's this video. You can check out how to sketch cast shadows from Product Designer Maker, that channel. This is a really great video for seeing the process of how like a live example of somebody drawing cast shadows and stuff. And so, yeah, this is what we're going to be practicing. We're going to take our simple forms that we know how to make now, and we're going to draw cast shadows for them. And this does kind of assume you know perspective, so if that's an issue, just do your best you can, because as you can see, there is perspective in these. So we will have to just do the best you can. We'll touch on perspective eventually. The reason I'm not doing perspective next is because I really don't want to, because it's kind of boring to me. Because I've studied it too recently is the real reason, probably. But so let's go into, whoops, the heck, that was an accident. Let's go into the next thing of actually doing this exercise. So take this here, throw that over there, go into iPad screen mode. I believe that'll do it. Right there. Whoops. Oh my gosh. What is happening today? Okay. So that should have everything in the right spot. So blank canvas. We're going to start doing some cast shadows. So to start off with, we'll just have a basic horizon line, because it is important that you have a perspective for this exercise. Make that a little smaller, because you need planes. You need to have planes for this exercise. So it's very important for understanding where cast shadows go and such. So you'll have your you only need 2 vanishing points, really, assuming you know what those are. You use those to create whatever. So we're gonna do a basic one, just a cube first off. So we create a cube in our perspective. Well, actually, you don't necessarily need to do this. Like you can skip this step, but you still need to know perspective to understand it better. So I'm just going to create a cube here. And we'll draw the way this article goes about it. Oops. Pretty close, a little off, but it's okay. So here we got a cube. Right, all right, so we got a cube. Now we need to have our light source somewhere, and whether it be the sun or a more local light, meaning it's a closer light source. I'm going to go with a more closer light source, but you can do just what he's doing in here in this article. Basically, we've done step one. We have our object. We need a light source now, so I'm going to make a light source. Say this thing is my light source. And now we need to establish where the light source is within this scene, or where it is on my perspective, where it is in my plane. So I'm just going to draw a line straight down. So to say it's about that high, and I can take this and move it wherever I want to. So let's put it on right here. So this is the bottom point, not where my light is, but where it's hovering above this point in space. Because if you just have a square or a circle somewhere, it's too ambiguous as to where it is. Because this could be behind the sphere or this cube, or it can be around in front of the cube. If you have this bottom point, that way it's giving you a reference point of where it actually is, so you always can reference that. So next, step 2 is to draw along that plane that this light is grounded on into this object to find where that cast shadow, or basically where the light can't see. That's what we're doing with this. Let's go back to gray. So from here, as we can see from pulling this line out, the light cannot see that back edge. It can only see this first edge. So we're only going to go to that first edge, for a box anyway. And same with this, the light can't see that back edge on the cube, but we're going to go through to here, this edge. And now, as in the article, the next step is we're going to trace down on those other points on the top of the box. And the light can see here, and it can also see that back edge, so we're going to draw that. And it's where these two lines intersect, where this line and this line intersect right here. It's going to be where our one edge of our shadow is. We'll do the same for over here. Hold on, something's wrong. I think there's something wrong with this. I'm not exactly sure what's wrong with this. Let's go to that edge and then this edge, right? Well, assuming that that's correct, this will be our other point, but the light can see that, so why is that the case? Because they need to go through that, I suppose. Where those two intersect is where it is. So right there. Okay, that seems better. So because the light can see over here, I had to go with over here. So I know there's an edge of my shadow right there, and to find the edge down here, let's do it like there, and I know there's another edge right there. We can't see that because the box is in the way though. So let's find the next edge on this point. I think this is the right way to do it. It's right there. Is that right? I'm confused. And I think this needs it. Okay, let's start over. This is too confusing. I think I did that wrong. So I think you need to align each for the box specifically, because he's doing a cylinder there. For the box specifically, you need to align each edge to its own spot to find where each corner will be, where the shadow will be for each corner. So for this bottom edge here, it's going to be this top edge, and where those 2 points intersect. So right here. And for this next one, right here. Next one, right here. Last one, right here. Okay, so those are our 4 points of where our shadow will be. So we just fade this out. Oops. Apparently that's all connected, that's okay. We can connect our shadows, or points to it, where they should be, because where this light will not be able to see. Of course, we can't see behind this, so this point will get all erased. But that's what our shadow will look like, and if I make this a little clearer and erase all that, fill that in, make this clear where my box is. Oops. Like that. So that would be, I think that's an accurate shadow of where where the shadow would be for this specific box with this specific light source. So let's do one with a cylinder this time, just like he had it in the example, so we can follow a little more closely. We don't necessarily need any vanishing points for this one, because if we're just following this, we just need a horizon line. Now I have a different light source here, so got a cylinder, more like a cylinder, if I can make it right. Oops. And then go above the horizon line. And then right up here. Oops. Good enough. So, following this, but from a different angle, this guide. I'm going to go like this. No, the cylinder's not close enough. And it's too tall in order to do what I want with it. So I'm going to cheat a little. And that's going to break my perspective though. We can do this, I think. Now what the heck, we'll just erase part of it. It'll solve the problem right there. Perfect, all right. Excellent. So now, following the example, trace the bottom of the cylinder and the top edges. So from this specific example, because in his arrangement it's a little more parallel, so it's a lot easier for him to calculate that. From the perspective I have, if I were to do that, just go to both edges, I would get an inaccurate shadow, as you can see here. Because that would be, because it's a round object, it's not giving you the exact points. It's close, but it's not perfect. And the way we find that is we're just going to draw a line through here, find the center of this ellipse, and then do the same with that. We're cutting this ellipse in half to find its edges. I think that's right. Is that right? No, we want where those two edges intersect. So where these two lines go through each side, that's the edges of my cylinder that I want to draw that line through, because that's my edges that my light can see. And I'll just drag these up through to where they touch the top of the cylinder. And that will be where these 4 points are where my light will touch. So this will be a more accurate renditioning. And if I take this top one and go through the middle one and connect in the middle, that's where the very top of my light will be. It's a little bit more accurate than what he's doing here. So if you want to be more accurate, you can do it this way. So this edge is going to connect with that. This edge will connect to here. And we can do the same with this back one, but it won't make a huge impact. It'll just give us another guideline of where to put our cylinder or our ellipse. So we have 4 points, one here, one here, one here, and one here. Now we just need to draw an ellipse within this that touches all 4 points, and that will give us part of our shadow that we need. So we have that. Now if we just connect this, or it's already connected, just erase what we don't need, and fill in our shadow. So basically what the light can't see, or what is behind this object is whatever, right? You can't see it. We'll just fill that in. So that's our accurate shadow like that. So that's a really quick example of how you do this. There's more complex examples in here with more complex shapes. Like a person, for example, is going to be a more complex shape. So I suggest starting off with simple shapes like this, cubes and cylinder stuff. And read this article. It goes into more detail, and it's really informative. Let me show you how to do a sphere before, if I can remember how to do the sphere. So we did a cylinder, but a sphere is a little more tricky because you gotta circle. So you have to, it's not because it's round, derp. So first, if we cut it in half that way, we can find where our bottom point is. I'm having a really hard time remembering this. But for this, we will need vanishing points. So if I just make a couple, I think I'm doing this right. So we'll find the cross points, and I apologize if this is really unclear and hard to understand, because I myself am still struggling with the sphere one. But so you want to find the point where your sphere is touching the bottom, and draw lines from your vanishing points there, and then also find the very center of your sphere by drawing through the center of it. And these will give you, then you'll pull down the sides of your sphere, and then in the middle of these, that's going to be the very, that is the line or the width of your sphere. So now if you pull your vanishing point lines through that again, it'll give you a box of which to put your sphere through. And it's on the inside, so you'll have to add a sphere around that touches all 4 corners. So that's your bottom shape of your sphere that you can find now with your light source. So this is still very, again, rough and hard to understand, so I apologize for that again. I'm still understanding it myself. So maybe don't attempt the sphere until you feel more comfortable with more basic shapes. Then to find the shadow, shoot, can't remember. Anyway, the sphere is a lot more complicated. I need to remember how to do that. But this is basically the exercise that you're going to do should you choose to practice the cast shadows. It's really difficult for at first. At least it is for me, because this is kind of the first time I'm like learning really complicated stuff. But so this is the exercise. Practice this for 1 or 2 weeks, and then we'll hopefully move on to something more not more interesting, something more challenging, and we can develop our skills more and more over time. So that's it for this week. Also, if you do feel confident in doing basic shapes, start adding basic shapes on top of each other. So like if you're confident doing a cube, for example, just really quick, you're like, okay, yeah, I can get the cast shadow of this really wonky cube. Go ahead and add another cube on there, just on the side somewhere. And so now you have another cube to do, or add a cylinder in here somewhere that's extruding out, and do a cast shadow for that next. So that's a bonus or an added level of difficulty you can choose to do if you want. So that's the exercise, and yeah, I hope that gave you some direction to do stuff, and I will see you in the next time we have another iteration.